Mahalo again to join and to Chancellor and all you guys for continuing on. Oh, sorry. With me and having fun and participating and being you most of all. And so before we get started, just to kind of real quick review, we kind of started the series just talking of, kind of the impetus for this series was recognizing, instead of pushing away, but recognizing all these unique stresses in our lives that have come about in the last year. So everything from the disease side, the pandemic side, and everything that falls out from there, the social isolation, having to, like, do I wear lipstick, not lipstick, right? Just like every little thing seems to be affected. And then of course on the more serious side, right, the illnesses, people losing people just getting very ill, the pushback on, just the politicizing of a lot of this, and then what we go through just as a community from the testing and the isolation and all that, the hoarding, right? Everything that we go through as a community. And then of course the more dramatic political stuff that we see on the more national front. And then of course, like today we have, a tsunami warning, just throw everything into the mix. So we as human beings, we're really good about taking this all in and troubleshooting and figuring things out. And our last week we talked about hope. I'll go back to that first week, really just allowing ourselves to recognize and then allow, because then we come to ourselves for our own medicine, our own ability to have this therapy, if you will, so that we can be present and respond most open-minded and effective to all those things that are out there. And then the other side of that is really just recognizing the physical impact of these stressors and how we can physically address them through our breath. So a big part of our series has been always coming to the breath. So finally today, on our last day, I'd like to invite you to kind of the theme, I guess you'd call it, of intention. So nothing specific where I want you to make an intention for today and follow it throughout the week. I mean, you're more than invited to, if you have something specific, like Luanda's like, I want to just like be done with my what is that? Your project, yeah, but I want to take care of myself. So put that as her attention, put that aside so she can take care of herself, and then press submit and be good and be present for the next project tomorrow, right? But really also when we go forth, utilizing more the granular part of intention with what we do through our movements, through our posture, through our breath as we spoke of, and then also through our thoughts. So being intentional about what is going on. I don't want to get too specific because I want to kind of have a lot of space for what that means, what that resonates to you. But as you move through your postures today, you drop back into, and I'll remind you, can you intentionally, align, right? So the physical posture part, can you intentionally push that other nagging thought gently to the side, acknowledge and push it to the side. So just intentional, deliberate might be a little strong, but really that comes back to awareness. So I've been talking a lot. Let's get going. Do you have anything you do want to focus on? We definitely will go to hip stretching, opening today. And we're going to do a little bit more heart opening also today. Feel free to pop it in the chat, and if Joyce can monitor that. If something just comes to you as we're going through. And like always, if you want to pop your camera on at any time for me to check your alignment or your posture, please. All right, so in our seated posture, keeping ear, shoulder, and hip stacked. So we have that vertical alignment here. Once you set that, allow for the front and the back body to be pretty equally activated, so you don't need to waver too much yet. We'll be moving in a little bit. But first, I know for myself it's been kind of crazy today, so I'm going to take and place my palms down because I need to like calm myself down a little bit. If you're feeling a little bit more sluggish, you need a little bit more waking up, let's get going, please turn your palms open. So whichever one feels best, place them on your lap or your thighs. Start to soften or close your eyes. Roll your shoulder heads back. Engage a little bit emphasis between the middle shoulder blades and then back off of that so that you have that vertical alignment. As you breathe in, let the air fill up through your nostrils. Keep your lips gently pressed together. Let that breath flow through the back of your throat, pressing your belly wall forward and up. And then as you exhale, let that breath release the opposite direction, up across through the lungs, back out through the nose. If you have sinus issues, feel free to let your lips be slightly open. And again, breathing in, filling up. Breathing out, letting go. We'll take 3 more rounds. Bring your awareness to your side ribs. Let them move laterally as you inhale. Diaphragmatic breathing. Let that diaphragm drop down toward the navel, extending the stomach well forward. As you release out, just a tiny bit more engagement in the stomach muscles themselves to gently expel that stale air at the bottom part of the lungs. Breathing in once again, maybe a little bit more of that ujjayi, that Darth Vader kind of constriction at the back of the throat. Breathing out, noticing if the tongue can gently settle at the top of the palate so it's not blocking or distracting. One more full breath in. Opening yourself up to your potential, your possibilities. One more, releasing breath out, letting go so you can give yourself this gift of focusing in of your movement, your mental relaxation, feeding your soul. We'll gently open our eyes, and that movement I spoke of, you're going to start to arch your heart plate forward, tip your head backward, squeeze your middle shoulder blade part together, and then exhale, draw your navel back towards your spine, round through the low, middle, and then upper back, dropping the chin to chest. Twice more like that. Inhale, draw the heart plate forward, let the tail reach back, tip the head back, open the throat space. Exhale, tuck under, squeeze deep, gently round through. Extending through the spine. One more time, lift up, extend up, maybe roll the shoulder blades back, a little bit more emphasis there. And then tucking under, closing that throat chakra, where you're allowing for a little bit of constriction, just a tiny bit, in the middle lane of the body. And then find your way back to neutral. Let's unwind the legs, taking the one leg out to the side, extend long. Other foot in towards your mid-thigh. Purposely roll your thigh bone so that your kneecap is facing straight up to the sky. So really purposely do that. And then actively flex your foot complex towards you. So your pinky and your big toe are moving towards you. From here, keep streamlining heel away from hip as you gently reach down into a lateral flexion. Take that outside arm up and look up toward that top thumb. Take a moment here to notice if that upper spine can be a little bit more arched rather than rounded, and gently adjust. From here, we'll take it a little bit more into a lateral bend. So start to tip toward that active front foot and bring that top arm around rather than in front. So you're still in that side bend rather than a curve. As you lift up, breathe in. And then square off as you breathe out, reaching forward into a deeper leg stretch. So keep pressing that heel away. Check down on that patella, that kneecap, make sure it's looking up. From here, one more little adjustment. Rotate, excuse me, your front hip away so that there's a gentle rotation in the spine. That might allow you to take your outside arm to the other side of your ankle, foot, or calf muscle. And breathe here. So gentle, even, deliberate breaths that help you to get a millimeter or two, just a little further. Keep pressing that back hip away from your heel, moving the bones in opposite directions so the muscles that hug them can stretch out. And then when you're ready, press your way up. Inhale. Exhale, release. Swap sides. Take one leg in, other leg out. I like to put the foot way up high into that inseam. And then we're going to go into that side reach first. So pressing the heel away, deliberately bring the toes toward you, but check that the kneecap is midline rather than an external rotation of the hip. From there, take that outside arm.
People are calling me every time when I'm busy. 305. You should know. This is.
And from there, if we want to reach up a little bit higher, and then if you're not on mute, just go ahead and mute yourself. Thank you. And then we reach just a little bit further. Noticing if we're straining our neck, if we can pull the shoulder bones back a little bit further. Here's our inhale. Exhale, take it a little deeper. Start to take that arm up and around, going into that side body where those muscles of breath can get opened up to access that lung space just a little deeper. And breathe. On your inhale, channel that core musculature to lift you and rotate you. And then double check, make sure that pinky toe hasn't run away. Pull it back toward you, energize that foot, and then let's reach a little further. So we're looking down, making sure the kneecap is central so that it's pointing up toward the ceiling. That way we capture more of the full hamstring bulk. And then one more adjustment, see if you can take a rotation, send that front hip back and away, climbing that back arm toward the calf, maybe the foot, going into a hamstring stretch. Breathing through, just being deliberate and long on the breath. Stretch the breath out a little bit more. Inhale. Exhale, dive forward a little more, thinking forward more than down. Inhale. Exhale. As you inhale, release out. Climb your way up. Let's go into a butterfly sit. Bring the soles of your feet together. And then depending how tight or loose your hips are today, you might do more like a star figure where your heels are away. And then from there, you can get into a bit more of a neutral spine. If you feel like you want to challenge yourself or you're just feeling more bendy, bring your heels closer. Notice if that causes your spine to kind of crunch up, and then adjust. Take a moment, let the outer knees get heavy. I like to do a little bit of butterfly flap wings. Just let the outer thighs reach down toward the sides of your mat. Use the leverage of holding onto your ankles or your feet to pull the heart through, just like we did in that first sequence, that opening sequence, that mini cat-cow that we did earlier. Either stay here or invite yourself to go deeper into the mid-thigh stretch, the inner thigh stretch, by bringing hands to toes and drawing your body weight forward so that gravity allows for a little bit more challenge, gentle pressure on that adductors, the inner thigh muscles. This is a place where we really could use that really specific inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more time on your own, just remembering the place where the musculature of the hips attach into the pelvis. It's a place where we hold emotion, sense of self, complexity, identity. Just giving ourselves a lot of patience, a lot of time to fiber by fiber open up the space here. You ready to come out of that last exhale or two? Be gentle. And then we're gonna take those legs wide and finish off this series. So I like to go not the widest you possibly could, where you can look forward and still see your feet in your peripheral vision. If you feel like you want to do full splits, probably can't see your feet. Just be aware, try to be balanced on both sides, be kind to yourself. Whichever degree of angle you have, look at your feet, somehow make sure that they're fully activated. It's almost like you're standing on your feet. That's how much information you're giving your feet about being active. Be very deliberate about them being flat, because that's going to keep the knee joints facing upward rather than tipped out. That's going to help the backs of the knees press down toward the mat to get a little bit more length from heel to hip. And it's going to engage your quadriceps, which whenever you can engage your quadriceps, it's always a bonus in my book. Maybe right here is just fine. You got a lot of things to think about, a lot of things to be focused on, to breathe into. If you'd like to take that into now a stretch, inner thighs. Start to walk the fingertips forward, lead with the heart. Pause along the way and check. My toes started slipping or my back started hunching. Great observation. Do a little mini congratulations that you're in that awareness. Make your adjustment. Inhale. Exhale, maybe a little deeper. There's no goal here. There's just space, opportunity, experience. Stay in the moment. You might notice that your adductor muscles and your hamstring muscles start to melt a little more, and your elbows start to gently come to the floor. If that causes a lot of hunching, let yourself back off. We want to keep the integrity of the spine here. Let yourself be okay with right where you're at and experience what that's like without reaching for more or pushing away. Be right in this moment right here in your inhale and your exhale. And your inhale, deliberate exhale. One more breath in. And breath out. Let the transition away from this posture be just as deliberate. You walk your way back out. Hands outside of the thighs. Those legs in. And just take a moment to sway side to side. And Joyce did remind me that my voice can get kind of soft here, so I apologize, and I'll try to keep remembering to amplify. Probably already have turned up the volume on your device. But please just give me a shout out if I don't want you to be straining. You have enough things to do focusing on yourself. So I want this to be as accessible as possible. You got enough challenges. Okay, let's take it to hands and knees. So spin your way around onto your hands and knees. If If you like, place something under your knees or double your mat. Let's take a couple cat-cows. Can't go wrong with cat-cows. You get up in the morning or you get home at night or you're in between stuff and you're like, oh, I just feel like I need to move. I don't know what to do. Cat-cow, natural movement for the body. The spine is made to bend in all directions. Let's inhale, lift the heart up, lift the tail up, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Maybe look up and between the eyebrows with your drishti, your eye gaze. Exhale, tuck tail, drop chin, round spine. Release, stretch. Inhale into your cow, dropping your udders. Lift up. Feel the sticky spot. Is it between that T7 or T9, like that thoracic kind of brow line? Is it in there? Can you get a little bit more energy to lift the heart through? Round under. Notice if the rounding is only in the upper spine, can you engage that pico, that navel, to draw that lumbar space a little bit further out? One more time, inhale into your cow. Exhale into your cat. And now find neutral space. Tip your hip to one side and look at it. Find that hip is back there somewhere. And then switch. Tip your hip to the other side. Look behind, find it. Switch again. Sassy cat. Side to side. This takes a little bit of that oblique muscle to contract and then stretch. Continue a few more at your own pace. Sassy cat. Swaying the hips side to side. Getting some range of motion in the cervical, the neck spine. And then let's change that into a circle. So next time you're at one side, from there, drop down into your cat, sassy cat to the other side, and then throw in the cow. So side bend, round, side bend, arch. So big circle of the hips, little hula hip, the ami, cat, cow, sassy cat. Bring some breath in. Inhale for half. Exhale for half. One or two more times this direction. And then pause in your cow and switch. Sassy cat first the other way. Round into the Halloween cat. Side bend and arch. Big circles for the body. Isn't that so good? Just a lot of, we're doing so many multi-plane movements. Our core is in control, really controlling that, but it also feels free. You can be a little bit more organic. And also recognizing that we're doing some really nice weight bearing in our upper arm bones, our middle arm bones, our wrists, all this nice anti-osteoporosis work. Osteoporosis, right? It's nice weight bear. We'll take one or two more in the second direction. And then from here, tuck your toes, but we're not going to go to child's pose. We're going to sit all the way back. Start to bring your knees together. Sit back on your toes like we did in broken toe pose last time. So let that weight go through that sheath of the fascia and get that stretched out for a few breaths. We're going to stay here. If you need to modify, you can always come down onto the dorsum of your feet while we get that shoulder work in. So big, nice circles. We just did all that nice weight bearing. Inhale in, exhale, backstroke. Inhale, exhale. Find the freedom of this beautiful movement. Shoulders are the most mobile joint relatively in our body. Get all those degrees in. Women are generally more flexible, so yay Happy post Girls Day. But everybody can use movement. Let's get one more in, inhaling up. Exhaling down. Bring the arms out to the side, goalpost arms. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Feel that muscle energy. Another thing that we kind of almost have no excuse, yeah, really. I mean, you've got somebody on a Zoom meeting, you're chit-chatting on speaker. You get a couple isometric bicep curls in here. Get that blood flowing. Release out. We're going to do something different now. I forget if we did this in the past, but take your hands behind you. Link pinky. Maybe touch the palms and start to extend the arms upward. So I like my palms apart, but either way, control it. This is where the core muscles got to turn on because you don't want to face plant. But start to bring the body weight down. From at this point, you might want to have your toes flat so that you can control. You're just going into a chest opener here. Some of you will get your head all the way to the floor. Cool. Try not to weight bear on that, just gently touch down. Focusing on the stretch at the front of the shoulders for 1 or 2 more breaths. And then find your inhale to reach you back up. And shake it out. Okay. All right. Let's go to our down dog. So palms in front. Tuck your toes back under. And just for a moment, pitch your hips up. And then pedal your heels out. So your hips are the highest point here. Get the heart pulled toward the knees. Stay there as you just kind of pedal the heels out, but just, we're not doing a lot of specific direction on here. It's more just a transition. Those of you who know your down dog really well can kind of refine it, but don't worry about it if down dog isn't part of your repertoire. Just kind of doing this to release out the legs. Get a little upside down, a little inversion going on, right? And this is our transition for that pigeon. So the last couple classes we went and we took our knee and we brought it up toward our wrist. But if you want from here, you can start with pitching one leg up toward the ceiling, bending the knee, just opening the hip up a little bit here in a 3-legged dog, just because it feels free and is the opposite of our hip compression when we're sitting all day. And then from there, bring that knee forward to your wrist. Start to walk the back leg, creep it back. And then find your setup for pigeon. So work on bringing your shin toward parallel. Doesn't have to be exactly, but that's kind of that lever to get more emphasis on the hip rotator stretch if you bring the shin forward, or back off if you don't want as much. Either way, your hips are squared. Come up on your finger pads with me to do an elevated, lifted pigeon. You might feel this at the front of the back leg, so that deep groin musculature. Just notice if that's there. Keep drawing your back leg long so it's not swiveled or twisted. And then start to crawl into your pigeon. Start to utilize gravity, body weight. Let that weight come down on that outer hip. The outer rotation is what we're stretching. A lot of deep, strong muscles here. So it takes a good, nice, healthy dose of patient breath, big body breathing. You're comfortable coming down onto the forehead, softening or closing the eyes. Another direction of gently observing. I like to think of just going up onto the bleachers, like at War Memorial. I know it's still closed, but go up there and observe what's going on with you. You don't have to be like full on participating, running track or anything. Just check it out from way up there. This pigeon gives you that kind of perspective. Oh, that's a little pinchy. Okay, I'm gonna back up. Oh, I wasn't really breathing. Okay, I'm gonna belly breathe. Whatever it is, just checking, gentle response. No judgment. 2 more breaths. Inhale long. Exhale big. Inhale long. Exhale full. When you're ready to come out, climb your way up, roll the shoulder heads back. You're going to go back to that 3-legged dog, or if you like the sassy cat circles, either one. Either way, you're weight bearing through your strong arms. Bring your legs behind you. If you're going to that 3-legged, lift the hips up. Lift that same leg you had forward. Open the hip back up, the open hip position. Really feel that freedom. If you're in your sassy cat, moving those hips. Noticing one side a little different than the other going, wait, what about me? We're coming, we're going to get there. And here we go. All fours, either position. If you're in your dog, other leg up, open that side hip up, feel that freedom, feel that reach. We're not going to go into a lot of technique, just let it be what it is. Enjoy it. And then from there, or from hands and knees, bring your knee towards your wrist, lock your back leg back, pre-position yourself, yeah, so bring that shin up, take the knee out, really work to square the hips. If the hip stays open, it's a different stretch, and it's a bit of a strain on the lower spine. We want to square the hips off, find that proud pigeon, really puff that front part of the feathers up, and then start to walk the body weight, walk into gravity, looking for a stretch at the outer hip. Noticing again, maybe you get a little bit more stretch at the front groin, the back leg, breathe into that. Maybe you want more of that, let that part be a little heavier. You might come back up if you want more of that groin stretch. You're going to get that when you're further up. Really tailor your stretch. So lots going on in this stretch. As I mentioned, that rotator hip complex, but there's also the compression on your tendons. In yin yoga, that compression, as I mentioned, is that acupressure type of response that we're putting that pressure on, balancing out the meridian in that area, and then when we release, we're letting that blood flow. So a lot of stuff going on as well. You know, if you're getting any tweak in your knee, get a little bit more active in your front foot, back ankle, check on that. That can be kind of twisted around. You want to get as neutral as you can there. Even rolling the inner thigh toward the ceiling. All that, and then of course the deliberate, specific. Breathe in, breathe out. We'll take 2 more. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, breath. Exhale, release. Don't be in a hurry. Let that breath completely release out. When you make your transition, either going back to that 3-legged dog or hands and knees, maybe a little both. If you're in that dog and you want to do that opening, that's going to reset that hip space. So we were in that nice deep pressure, that yin pressure. Open it back up, get that space, get that ability to move that wrist with musculature into kind of that congruency, so it's not just twisted and stuck in there, especially if you tend to be seated a lot like I do for work. Or finishing up in the opposite direction, if you could remember which way you went in your sassy cat. All right. From here, we're gonna go to our child's pose, but it's not gonna be a restful one yet. We're gonna keep it super active. I'm gonna ask you to kind of watch me first. You probably already know this one, but just to get kind of the reminders of the cues, and then you go to it. So Arjuna, it's your heart opener. And so I'm gonna keep my toes tucked to start. So I walk my hands forward, and then where my elbows would go flat, I'm actually gonna put them pointy, put my palms together, and then start to move my shoulder heads toward the ceiling as I offer my heart toward the earth. Remember that trick of lifting the armpits? Lift those armpits up high, and that's going to engage with the shoulder girdle, and the heart space can move forward into the chest wall. Now from here, before you go to it, one last thing. The further your knees are from center, the deeper your stretch. Okay, when you're ready, go ahead and sit up. Feel free to turn your camera on if you want me to watch your heart opener. We also call this a puppy pose because you feel like a playful puppy, but it's really juicy and it really requires a lot of breath. Take it breath by breath. You might notice your triceps get a little stretch going on. Breathe into that. Maybe one side of the chest wall or the shoulder girdle is tighter. Breathe into that. Maybe you don't like that big arch in your low back. You can tuck your tail and still get the work done. Try not to hunch the upper spine. And then there always comes a point in your stretch, in your posture, stay there, where you're settled, you're in, and then you just kind of make peace with it. Okay, so maybe it's really juicy, but maybe it's on the verge of uncomfortable. You stay. Try not to flee. Try not to grasp. Just stay and breathe. Big, full diaphragmatic breath in. Let the ribcage move sideways. Exhale. Deepen. Release. Let go. We'll take two more. Draw it out. Maybe longer than my cue. Totally fine. And release. One more last breath. Nice big opening through the heart center, the shoulders, heart opener. When you're done with this one, you're going to come into restorative child's pose. So release the toes, walk the hands back, hips all the way to the heels, knees probably even wider. Relax down. Turn the palms up here. Forehead down. And now the shoulders are a bit rounded, so kind of the opposite. We did all that nice opening up, let it calm, let it kind of preserve right there. Generally, this is a deeper stretch into the spine, letting the shoulders and the chest just relax now. A couple breaths in child's pose. Come back here to any intention you did make. Maybe for your day when you got up this morning. Maybe I'm not going to yell at X. That sometimes is my intention. Sometimes my intention is just let me be of service. So just come back to, even if it wasn't really a conscious, the clarity will come, but even if it's just that sense of, okay, this is kind of where I want to be or what I want to do today, or even in this class, or maybe going forward, just come to that on these last breath in your child's pose, reset, and then we're going to make our way onto our back. Oh, do we have time to go to prone? Let me check. You know what I like? Hopefully you're not, sorry, come out of your child and come onto your stomach. I wanted to go back onto that one stretch that we did. We did it last week on it's called the scorpion, but it's that shoulder front opener. We're just going to take it a little further with the hip today. So scorpion, those of you who know it, go to it. Otherwise, walk with me through the setup. So take one arm out to the side. Turn your head away from it. So your ear is on the mat and you're looking away from that arm that's out to the side. The leg in front of you, bend your knee, extend the foot, and rotate toward the floor behind you. So right away going into Weight bearing stretch on your back shoulder. Yeah. Breathe here. Get your tailbone under you a little bit so that the stress is not on the back, but rather on the shoulder. And then we'll add top arm reaching back. If Julie has her strap, she can throw it at her other hand, or maybe you don't need it. You just find your other hand, clasp them together, or not. Sometimes I just like to leave my arm up toward the ceiling. Wherever you're at, though, find that sense of space and breath. Letting go through the jawline, the eye sockets, the cheekbones. And then from here, option, you might ignore me, but sometimes I like to find that back foot and go into an extension, kind of like a dancer's pose. You're extending, you're kicking your heel back into your hand, opening up that front groin a bit more. Careful, you don't topple. Use your core to gently hold you in place. And of course, default to the breath, always. One more long deep breath in. Fill up spaces that weren't open before. Throw a few more windows open. Inhale. Exhale. On that end of that exhale, gently release. Come to neutral. Stack the palms, bend the legs, and just windshield wipe or egg beater. All right, second side. Arm out to the side. Turn your head away from that arm so ears on the mat, looking away. And from there, gently start to bend that front leg, flex the heel, bring it behind you. I forgot to mention on the first side, if you notice your head starts to go into a forward nod, just ask it to come to that vertical line we had when we were seated, ear, shoulder, hip. The hip's still there. We're just opening the knee behind it. Nice. Okay. So settling into the stretch in the front of the back shoulder. Gentle if you need to be, especially if you have any really laxity in the shoulder area. You want to be super gentle, but for most people they are super tight in the front because that's where we do all our work. So for majority of us, we need this stretch. We need to open. And maybe top our back. Maybe you reach it back. You gather up your strap behind you, or just find the opposite elbow or hand, or leave it up. Scorpion. Not quite sure why. I guess this, what is the tail? Notice if the head's nodding forward, if the back is arching too much, find neutral. Bring the ear over shoulder, shoulder over hip. Let the chest, the shoulder, the mid-back rotation be the emphasis. And then we'll add on that hip a little deeper if you want. Reach for that back foot going into a prone dancer's pose. Kick that ankle behind you. Extend to the front groin even further. Breathe, breathe, breathe. But if the breath started to rush on you, just take it back. Draw to exhale. You can pause for a second and then fill yourself up one more time. Big breath. Release. Good. Float back to center. Finish off with that neutrality. Releasing out. And then we'll make our way to our backs, our supine position. So transition as gracefully as you can. And once you're on your back, bring your heels in line with your hips. Your back of your skull steady on the floor, on the mat. Roll your shoulder that's under you so that you don't see your shoulders in your peripheral view. They're way back behind you. From here, just a chin tuck, just to remember, something to carry on our way going forward as we bring, when we bring gravity back, our head can fall forward, right? Because it's 10, 12 plus pounds. So if we teach ourselves, okay, we're going to keep our ears over our shoulders, I'm going to exaggerate a little chin tuck, bring your first and second finger, second and third finger to your chin. Gently go into a double chin, stretching the back of the neck out, retracting the cervical spine. And then just back off of that about 10, 15%, and that should be about your perfect alignment. Rather than the chin poking up toward the ceiling and dumping in to the small muscles of the neck that aren't made to hold that much weight, that much gravity. All right, let's go into our stretches here. Hug, let's go with the right knee, hug the right knee in. From here, press the heel out and climb your hands behind your thigh or your shins. We can go into our hamstring stretch here, but I'm gonna add a little bit to it. So try not to put your strap yet, because I'm gonna ask you to do 5 ankle circles each direction. So another fun one, and another kind of no-brainer. If you're like, I just need to move, I had a long day, it's too dark to go out for a walk, get on the floor and get some ankle circles and just admire that architecture of your feet that does so much all day long. So 5 each way, and then hyper flex your foot, go into your dorsiflexion, draw that pinky toe toward you, and then if you want to strap around your foot, otherwise draw that shin toward you, back of the knee away, breathing into the back of the thigh, into the calf. If it feels right, you can grab onto that foot, extend the knee away gently, and then from here right away, let's take it into that adductor, adductor, push the opposite knee away, stretching out through the inseam. And then let's change that again to our happy baby. So bend the knee toward the armpit, flatten the foot toward the ceiling, half happy baby. This one takes that shoulder girdle strength to hug that knee down. Check back in with the chin position as it pops out. Retract into neutral. And release. Second side. Left knee in toward the chest. And then extend that heel up toward the ceiling, hands behind the thigh or shin. No strap here, just circle the ankle. So going about 5 or so circles in each direction to give that space to the ankle. And of course, it's not a true circle because that's not the shape of our housing here in your ankle, but do the best you can. And then from there, let's go ahead and go a little bit deeper now. Hamstring stretch, we've got our body completely supported. So all we have to do is engage the top of our shin to draw the toes toward us and our biceps to assist. Nice stretch the back of the leg. Now the body's been moving a bit forward. You might get a few degrees compared to when we were doing it sitting. A few more. Maybe the hand to the outside thigh or the strap. Extend away. Knee goes opposite direction. A little deeper into the outer hamstring there and that inner thigh. If there's any compression on the low back, on the low belly, on the low stomach, still finding the space to get that full breath. Diaphragm drops through. You can use the back lung space a little more. And taking now on your exhale into that half happy baby. So leave the knee out and then drop the opposite knee. The knee of the foot that you're holding on to. Draw that knee down toward, I like to angle down toward the armpit best as you can. The whole time making sure our sacrum, our whole spine, the low spine is flat on the mat. Half happy beat. From here, when you're ready, transitioning to Supta Baddha Konasana or butterfly, supine butterfly pose. So go back to the posture we had when we were seated. Bring your feet together, but stay on your back. Now use your hands to gently push the tops of the thighs down away from you toward the floor, just gapping from that frontal hip bone to the top thighs. Let the knees go heavy. And then from here, take the arms back into goalposts. Elbows heavy on the floor, in line with the shoulder bone. Take a pause here and use Supta Baddha Konasana. Feeling how this really accommodates all that space you created in your breath. You can make these big billowing breaths through that Buddha belly. And then as you relax, you can feel that softening into the low spine, upper spine, where we sometimes tend to hold that stress and tension. You can feel that softening. You can just let that melt off you. 2 more breaths here. Big inhale through the chest plate, the abdomen. Big exhale, spine bones, vertebrae getting heavier. We're heading toward Shavasana, but we're gonna actually slide the bottom leg long and take the top knee back into our chest. So top knee back into, oh, sorry, what did I say, bottom? But sorry, right leg goes long, left knee into your chest. And then from there, let's go into a deep twist. So, outside arm on the outside of your left knee or shin. Let that knee come across your body. You might be able to push your hips back behind you a little bit more so your spine stays vertical. And then allow the knee to drop down. But look back and check back on that left shoulder. If that left shoulder is popping off, you're taking away from your rotation. So draw the left shoulder behind you, even if it means sacrificing the knee coming up, that's okay. Find that balance, come into a deep stretch, neck to tail. When you're ready, you're gonna turn that chin all the way behind you so that your back ear, that left ear is behind you on the mat. Be deliberate about allowing that energy to trace top to bottom, breath by breath, spiral by spiral through each vertebrae. Remember, we got 7 up in our neck, 12 in our mid-spine, and then another 7, 4, 5, 6, 5 in our low back plus our sacrum. So we got plenty of bones to twirl. Gently making your way back to center on your breath. Wait till that exhale actually pulls you in. Hug your knees in. And then we'll start to set up for second left side. Right knee stays in, left leg goes long. Pull that right knee across your body. Use your outer left hand. Right arm just naturally floats behind you, yeah. I like to bump my hips into midline. So that gives me more of a chance to get that mid back involved. Not just kind of hog it on the low back, but that mid back get involved in this rotation. Draw that top leg across, then check, oh, my right arm's popping off. I'm gonna let my right arm be heavy behind me, even if it means my right leg is not as deep. It's okay. Draw out the stretch, draw out the breath. One bone at a time, going from top of that right ear, aiming down toward the mat behind you. Soften or close the eyes, feel the breath kind of take over this beautiful, luxurious stretch. Remember to notice if your mind bounces off. Just acknowledge, draw it back here. See in your mind's eye, one bone at a time, just gently floating over the other, making space, allowing natural movement. The breath supporting all of this. On this last exhale, you're going to start to make your way back home to center. Take a moment, press your arm bones under you, push down into your feet, just lift your hips up just a little bit here, tuck your tail, pushing it just a little further away. You have more of a chance of integrating your spinal bones down into the mat, and then drawing your legs long into that Shavasana. Once the legs go long, just let the muscles relax. No more activating the toes, no more circling, no more organizing, just kind of let them go comfortable, rolled out naturally. Arm bones placed away from the body, shoulders rolled under you like gravity, then take it from there. Back of the head heavy, eyes rolled back in the sockets. No expression on the face, but all the facial muscles just relax naturally. Follow the breath in, let it fill you up. Gently let the breath out. And just let the body breathe itself for a few breaths here. We're coming right to the top of the hour. If you have the luxury of hanging out here, just ignore me. You might have been so relaxed you only took one whole breath because your breath was so long. If you're coming out, start to bring your knees in, roll your way to the side, pause on your side, check in with your happy heart. Beat has slowed, blood pressure has dipped, immune system hormones are activated. Press our way up to seated. Come back into alignment, ear, shoulder, hip. Deliberately place the not as comfortable shin in the front if you're in Sukhasana. Bring palms facing up. Eye gaze soft or closed. Bring your hands to your heart center, thanking yourself for giving yourself this space and this time, this awareness. And then draw your thumbs, your hands up between your eyebrows. Your third eye center, recognizing your innate ability to come to this space at any time to give yourself this precious gift of awareness and support. Namaste. You guys, I want to thank you so much for coming out for these last class, all 4 classes, 100% attendance. So thanks you guys for your, just come and play with me. I hope to see you guys around. Feel free to message through Joyce, any questions. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your week and have fun tomorrow for a great weekend.
Mahalo, Bridget.